Hey guys, okay, so in this week's video we're going to talk about protected vegetation. More specifically, I'm going to answer the question, how far do you need to be set back from a tree to ensure that you don't impact on that tree? Now unfortunately there is not a one-size-fits-all type dimension that you need to work to. Make my life a bucket load easier if that was the case. The reality is you need to do some maths here, so you need to do a bit of a calculation. Now bear with me, I'm going to throw a heap of acronyms and numbers at you, but stick with me to the end, I promise it'll make sense in the end. So, general rule of thumb is if you impact on more than 10% of the TPZ being tree protection zone, then that tree will not survive into the long term. So, how do you work out the TPZ? 12 times dBH. Simple, right? Okay, so dBH is diameter at breast height. Breast height is 1.4 meters off the ground. So, walk up to the tree. Find the point that is 1.4 meters off the ground. Measure the diameter of the tree at that point. Going back to primary school maths, diameter is one side of the circle to the other side of the circle. So you measure your diameter of the tree, multiply that by 12, that gives you your radius of your TPZ. Going back again to maths, radius is center point to outside of circle. Now, I will say up front, when you do this calculation, you're going to be like, I got this wrong. There is no way the TPZ can be this big. Honestly, I've never come across anyone that's gone, oh, that TPZ's smaller than I expected. It is always going to be bigger than you expect. So I will include a couple of links to some websites where you can go and basically double check your calculations. I often do this myself because whenever I do these calculations, still to this day, I go, that can't be right. It can't be that big. So yeah, I'll put the links in this video when I go back and edit it. Go to those websites, double check, you can find a bit more information to elaborate on this topic, let's just say. But yeah, basically you work out what the TPZ of the tree is and you make sure that you're not encroaching by more than 10%. Now, you can engage an arboriculturalist to provide a report or an assessment that potentially justifies going further in or encroaching further into the tree. So they might come back and go, hey, look, this specific tree, it's actually a more hardy sort of species. It can handle a bit more incursion. So it can typically handle like 10, 11%, 12%, I don't know what it is. It can handle some extra incursion. Or this specific type of tree, it actually has a really small root ball. So therefore the TPZ for this specific species of tree is actually smaller than the standard. Or more than likely, they can turn around and go, hey guys, if we're going to use some vacuum excavation or hand excavation methodologies or certain other techniques, we can get even closer to the tree than this standard 10% rule. However, having said that, what you will find is most arboriculturalists will turn around and say that they don't really want to go beyond that 10% rule. Now, it is a little bit of them covering their backsides, and I can totally understand with the litigious natures of the world that we live in these days why they would want to do that. But it is part of that, but more importantly, it's covering your backside into the future. So I have had a chat to an arboriculturalist about this recently, and he basically said to me, if you stick to the 10% rule, and if that tree happens to die of natural causes or other reasons down the track, your backside is covered. You can turn around and just be like, yep, I stuck to my 10%, I ticked the box, not my problem. Ain't got nothing to do with me, guys. However, if you go 11%, 12%, whatever it is, if you go over that threshold and that tree happens to die of natural causes down the track or something happens down the track, which is not your fault, questions are going to be asked. You fall into a very grey area there. How do you demonstrate or confirm that it wasn't actually, or prove that it wasn't actually your fault that that tree died? It becomes very messy, very painful. You kind of don't want to end up in that space. So yes, you can engage an arboriculturalist to try and provide a report to allow you to go close to the tree, but it may not be in your best interest to go down that path. It may be in your best interest just to stick to the 10% rule, tick the boxes, keep everything nice and simple. Okay, I think that covers off everything I want to talk about today. As I always like to say, until next time, thanks for watching.
For all you red tape lovers out there, I have one thing to say. Well, no, actually, I've got three. Number one, the advice provided in these videos is general in nature. It's not site-specific. You would be a silly Billy to go and make financial decisions based on this advice without first checking with the town planner. Don't be a silly Billy. Number two, Brisbane town planning is in no way linked to Brisbane City Council. The views expressed in these videos are my own, not council's. So if you don't like them, blame me, not council. Number three, what was my number three? Oh yeah, the views expressed in these videos are accurate at the time of recording. If you're watching this video back 10 years from now, the views may not be so accurate. That's all.